Hello, welcome to Tony's British English. Yippee! Now today I'm really excited. Why? Because I'm going to Brick Lane. Now Brick Lane has a certain resonance in London culture. It's quite an important place. So wish me luck. But before we start, have a look at this station. It's Crystal Palace Station. Now, it's like a cathedral. It's the same atmosphere or echo you get from a cathedral. This was built in Victorian times, so it's about 150 years old. As you can see, everything is so Victorian. The stairs, the walls, the light. They knew how to build. And look at the confidence of the architect. In those days, Britain was a superpower and had lots of money. And as a consequence, they built very expensive, very big structures. Yeah? So actually, I love coming here purely to soak up the atmosphere of a Victorian station. Now, recently, they built a railway line to the East End of London. Before, you would have to go by tube, and the whole journey would take you an hour and a half, 2 hours. Now, we can get a train direct to Shoreditch. And that is, for me, brilliant. Because it's so much easier. Now this is our train. As you can see, it's the most modern train we have. Its design and everything is very new. So, as always, you press the button. On we go. It's much wider than normal trains, and the seating is on the side, not rows like this, but rows like this. Meaning, there's so much space in the middle. Now this is a really modern train. Okay, now we're going to a place called Shoreditch. Shoreditch. Now Shoreditch has a history because 20-30 years ago it was an awful part of London. Poor, deprived, nothing there. But recently it has been gentrified. Oh, difficult word. Gentrified. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, Shoreditch has gone up and up and up and up as an area. So now it's a very trendy place to live. And to live there, you have to be a hipster. What is a hipster? Well, a hipster is a kind of trend. To be a hipster, you must have, number one, a beard, long beard. Number two, you must have tattoos up one arm. Number three, you must wear a checked shirt. Drink coffee, like music that no one else has heard of, but also be in IT. So now the property prices in Shoreditch have gone up and up and up, and it's hipster paradise. So that's where we're going. However, near Shoreditch is a place called Brick Lane. Now, Brick Lane has its own history. It's a very famous place in London. It was a place where immigrants came from Europe. They settled in Brick Lane. When they made enough money, they moved out into North London. Now it's home to the Bangladeshi community, Asian community, and as a consequence, we have lots and lots and lots of curry houses. Let's go to Shoreditch. Hi, welcome to Shoreditch. Now, as you can see on the right, it's quite old, very old, with lots of graffiti. So this is the old, and this is the new. Okay, Shoreditch is famous for really two things. Number one, Brick Lane. Now, around the area, we have curry, very important, and we also have vintage shops. Now, what's vintage? Well, vintage are clothes that are old-fashioned. But recently, they've come back into favor. So now you can buy a leather jacket, a coat from the 60s or the 50s even. It's quite expensive for what they are, but very, very trendy. So, vintage shops have grown all around Shoreditch. Maybe because of the hipster movement, I don't know. Curry house, curry house, curry house, and curry house. Now, Britain has a love of curries, which come from India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. Don't forget, Britain was an empire, and they came back from India with this idea of the word curry. The word curry doesn't exist in all the languages of India, but the British brought back curry, the idea of hot food with special spices that the English knew nothing about. So curry, or hot food with different spices, was introduced into Britain. Since that moment, it's become more and more and more popular. So now we have all these curry houses. Notice they're called houses, not restaurants. I don't know why. We call them a curry house. At night time, this is full of people, absolutely full of people, out for a trendy night out in Shoreditch. Hi. Now I promised you vintage shops. Look at this, London's vintage Mecca. Now it's a bit uncool to call it Mecca or Makkah. It's the most religious city in Saudi Arabia. Now here we are at the vintage market. Let's go. Now all the clothes here are second, third, fourth or even fifth hand. Nothing new here. It's all to do with the past. Wow, so many cool clothes. Real fur. Ooh. This is Dixie, and she works here at the market. Dixie, how long have you been here?
I've been here, it'll be 2 years in March next year. Yeah.
What kind of people come here?
All sorts. Tourists, you know, people from the film industry, movie industry, music industry. Random people that just pop in off the street. Anybody that likes vintage and has an appreciation for anything old.
Really?
Yeah.
So how old is the stuff you sell?
Okay, so majority of the stuff that we sell is sort of 1920s up to the 90s. So it's about mixing old pieces with modern style. Because not everybody can appreciate and wear vintage, you know, different sizing, etc. So for us, it's having a variety, but I think particularly women love 1950s.
Oh, really?
1950s is the stuff that they love. The big ball dresses and, you know, the whole nostalgia around it.
Fascinating. I couldn't help but notice, Dixie, these furs, are they real fur?
Right, they are, but we advocate recycling vintage furs. There's a lot of vintage fur that's around. There's no need for reproduction of new fur. A lot of these would have belonged to rich homeowners. You know, they would have been hunted, not caged, and we believe that it's better to recycle them than to actually dispose of them. They don't rot, they're not recyclable in that way, and I think a lot of people appreciate the fact that they're being used again and again, rather than having new fur products. Most modern products now with fur are caged animals, so they're actually caged to produce the product. We even sell to vegans. Funny enough, I've sold furs to a few vegans who actually advocate recycling vintage fur and promote it themselves because they do appreciate the quality, the beauty of it.
Fascinating, Dixie. When is your busiest day?
Our busiest days are normally the weekend, so I'd say Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, when people are sort of finishing work and they want to come around and buzz around for a bit. In here is the kind of place when you come in, you tend to stay for a couple of hours because everybody's fascinated with the history of the dresses. And, you know, we are quite good at giving the history lesson about each product that we sell. So there's always a background story behind it. And I think a lot of people fall in love with that background story, hence why they buy certain products.
Oh, brilliant, Dixie. Have you any words to say to Japan?
Japan, pop into the vintage market and come and buy some vintage fur.
Thank you, Dixie. Thank you so much indeed. Thank you.
You're welcome. Lovely to meet you. Cheers, take care. Hi, sweet. Can I help you?
Okay, that's me done. Wow, it's so interesting and colourful, and the people are really colourful as well. Okay, now because there's so much to see in Brick Lane, we decided to make 2 videos. So this is part 1, and we're going to make part 2 soon. So thanks for watching. Keep your eyes open for part 2, and thank you very much for watching. Bye!